Your music, your mix. This is bscmix.com. Hello, everybody. Jordan Bitz here along with Marnie Piehl and Derek Lee.
Hello.
How's it going?
And we're here today with Dr. Larry Skogen and Mr. Dave Clark, our interim Chancellor of the North Dakota University System and our interim President of BSC starting on Friday. And today we're going to be talking to them a little bit about the transition and some of their changes, the changes on campus and plans. So we'll start with Dr. Skogen. And I think the big burning question is, why Mr. Clark?
Oh, well, Mr. Clark was an obvious choice for this position, frankly. I talked to a lot of folks on campus. I met with student government, with the faculty senate, staff senate, with the department chairs, with the operations council, and then a lot of one-on-one conversations, just walking around campus and chatting with people. And I said, we had two choices. We could go inside or outside. And if we went inside, who would they recommend? And overwhelmingly, Dave Clark had a lot of support from the people on campus. And I'm proud to report that I have been congratulated all over town for making that selection. Dave Clark has a lot of support in this community, and he's been around for a long time, and he's an old BJC. In fact, today I was at a breakfast and they said, man, Dave Clark used to play basketball up at BJC. And so he's been a known entity for a long, long time, and so a lot of people are supportive of him assuming that position. And the board was 100% supportive. That's more support than I got for my position.
So, Mr. Clark, how do you feel about the appointment?
Well, it's a real honor to be appointed. I feel honored that Larry has trust in my abilities. Also, that the State Board of Higher Education would approve his nomination. So it is quite an honor. But at the same time, I know it'll be a challenge. There's a lot going on here at BSC, and this is a train running down the track at a very fast speed, and so you need to be up to the challenge. I'm excited about the situation and look forward to doing my very best to keep moving BSC forward.
20 months is a long time to be away from the school. How do you guys plan to communicate to make sure that come June 2015, it's an easy transition?
Well, let me first say, Derek, that Dave Clark is going to be the interim president of this institution. And so I don't want to interfere in any way, shape, or form with what he's going to be doing. It's not my job as chancellor to be running Bismarck State College now. So I've got to let go of those reins, and I've got to move back, and I do that with great confidence in Dave's ability to be the interim president. So when you say, how do you communicate, I think that we have to have open lines of communication between the two of us, and there will be two levels. On one level is the fact that I'm the interim chancellor, and Dave is running one of the institutions. On another level is the fact that we all know that by contract I'm going to be coming back in 20 months. So I have a different kind of interest in what's going to be happening at BSC. But again, I want to repeat that he is the interim president. And so I hope that we can talk about issues. If he ever wants to seek advice, that we can have that conversation. But I think more so our conversations will be updates so that I will know what's going on here. I'm going to have my hands full at the university system level, but I think that we'll be able to have conversations where he can tell me this is where this project's at, and that's where that project's at, and this is how we're moving. So when I come back, I'm not starting off at ground floor. So when I come back, I'll be knowledgeable of what's been going on over the 20 months.
And I guess I would respond that, one of the positive things about accepting this interim role is I get to keep the same boss. And I'm about the only one in this process where that's the case. And so Larry and I have worked pretty closely together over the last 7 to 8 years. I've tried to keep him informed, in my role as executive vice president, and it does get ratcheted up a notch as interim president, but we have a real open dialogue. Larry has mentored me in many ways, and so I do not see communication being an issue at all. I'm sure there'll be times I will take him up on his offer for advice, and so as the system works through issues that affect the campuses, and as we make campus decisions that may have some impact on him when he returns to BSC, we'll need to be discussing those things.
Well, Mr. Clark, can you talk a little bit about what some of your goals are for this interim presidency, if there's some things you've thought about?
Well, really, what my goals will be directly linked to the strategic planning effort that we've worked through here at BSC. We have a roadmap, and that's an ambitious roadmap. It's a 5-year plan, and there are a number of projects and initiatives in that plan that will take a lot of effort by a lot of people. It's just very good that we have a lot of good people here at BSC, and so I fully expect that we'll be able to move forward on a number of those initiatives. We've got a number of capital projects underway or soon to be underway, and those will have a significant impact on the campus as well. So really, it's our strategic plan. It's those capital projects, and then whatever things that come through the board and from a overall system perspective that will really tie into what my goals will be.
So now, Mr. Clark, I understand that some organizational changes are being considered. What changes might we see on campus in the near future?
Well, there'll be some other interim assignments. I'm in an interim role. I have asked our Associate Vice President for Finance to be an interim Executive Vice President, and that's Tamara Barber, and she's accepted that role. So then her position may very well then be filled also on an interim basis. So there's some movement of positions that fit the interim period. In addition, we're looking at some organizational realignments that may make sense. One of the things we're looking at is our student affairs operation on campus, and you look at how that's structured on a number of campuses across the country, and then a lot of times there's an alignment there under academic affairs, and so that may be one move. Another move might be that our continuing education and innovation operation, which much of their what they do is the revenue generation required, and to maintain what they're doing, and that really does fit Tamara's strong financial background, and so we'll look at some of those alignments and see if it makes sense to do that.
Mr. Clark, what is most appealing to you about your interim role? What are you looking forward to?
Well, fortunately, I have had a lot of work with the legislative process, and that's a critical role for us. We receive a significant amount of our funding through the state funding process, and so to maintain good relations with our local legislators and to work the legislative process within the guidelines that come down from the board and the university system will be important in my role as interim president. Also, working more closely with students. I probably, in my current role, haven't worked as closely as I will now on an interim basis, and that's what's great about working on a campus is you're around young people who want to learn and want to improve on their situation, and so I'm just really looking forward to that aspect as well.
The same question for you, Dr. Skogan. What are you most excited about as interim chancellor?
Well, originally I was asked in June when they appointed me as acting chancellor, I was asked to calm the system down. So I'm most excited about the fact that I think that has happened. And I look forward to working very closely with the presidents and with the institutions as we get the system moving forward again. We went through a bad patch. and there was a lot of controversy, and it captured the headlines almost every day here in the state. Now we're, from a system level, we're staying out of the news, and I've been around this state talking to a lot of editorial boards, and I think if you ask what is exciting about this position, it's being able to interact with folks all over the state. In my position as president of BSC, of course, I've been interacting a lot in central North Dakota and the Bismarck-Mandan area and western North Dakota, but I haven't been interacting a lot out east. And I just spent the last 2 days in Fargo and Grand Forks and Jamestown, interacting with folks that I haven't interacted with in my role here at Bismarck State. That's pretty exciting. And I think to be able to carry on a dialogue about higher education that's a statewide conversation, I think is really important, and I'm looking forward to carrying on that conversation as well.
You're listening to BSCMix.com. This is a live interview with Dr. Larry Skogan and Mr. Dave Clark. I'm Jordan Bitz, joined with Derek Lee and Marnie Piehl. Dr. Skogan, what will you miss most about BSC?
The two things come immediately to mind. Students, number one, and number two is all the employees of Bismarck State. We have such high caliber employees across this institution, and I really get out, when I was in the Air Force, we used to call this management by walking around, and I do a lot of that. I like getting out on the campus, and I like walking around, and I like stopping by faculty offices. I like walking into student records and chatting with people, or going to admissions, or going down to the student union, or going to the MAC, or going over to the gym, or going over to the Robert Kuntz building and talking to people. I really like that as part of my job. I like interacting with students at all levels, whether it's just in the hallway, or it's going to a meeting with them, or them coming to my office. That's what's really fun about this. And I will say that at the system level, the reason I went in higher education is because I really enjoy working with students and interacting with students, and that's why I've liked higher education. And at the system level, you're not interacting with students much. That doesn't mean that there can't be more of that, and that I can reach out to institutions or to like the North Dakota Student Association and have some interaction with students. But it's going to be at a very much lower level than what I've been able to do here on campus. I love the volleyball games, I love the basketball games, I love going to all the concerts and to the plays. So I really enjoy that interaction with students and with the employees at Bismarck State. And so I'm going to miss that a lot, quite honestly, from both a professional perspective, but also from a personal perspective, because I've developed great relationships here, I have great friendships here, and so I'm going to miss that very much.
Now, is there any chance for you becoming chancellor full-time?
Oh, that's not even on my radar screen. My contract says that 30 June of 2015, my appointment as interim chancellor is over. And in my contract it says then I can return to Bismarck State as the president. I know it's ridiculous to say it's impossible that I would do that, but that certainly is nowhere in my future plans. I fully expect that in about the end of November, depending on how the vote goes on the ballot, the initiative to actually terminate the board and to terminate the chancellor's position. I expect after that vote that, assuming how that vote goes, if that initiative is defeated, I think that I will be helping out the board run a nationwide search for a new chancellor, kicking off sometime in probably December of 2013 with somebody hired and identified by maybe April of 2014, and then that person, he or she, would take over on 1 July 2015. That's how I expect it to play out.
Mr. Clark, how do you plan on keeping the campus and community informed of BSC's activities?
Well, certainly I'm going to be more active in getting out on campus and being more visible. I likely will use our campus email system to keep the campus informed. I will have an open door policy. Certainly, I always have here at BSC. And so, whether it's meetings, email, I'll do my best to keep the employees and the students of BSC informed. I know communications is important, and oftentimes I know we get some feedback that maybe we don't communicate as well as we should, but it's not for lack of effort, because we do try and communicate what we can as soon as we can, but that will be important that I stay in touch with the campus as best I can.
I bet you'll be leveraging the core portal quite a bit, the BSC Now portion of that. Is that right, Mr. Clark?
That's correct, Marnie. You're very right on that.
Yeah. Dr. Skogan, I understand that you have some new methods of communication that you're leveraging at the university system level. We heard a little bit about it internally this morning. Could you talk about how you'll be communicating with the NDUS masses a bit?
Right. And this is a work in progress. Today we taped a video that will go out to all the employees of the university system, and just to introduce myself and to say this is where I'm going. The board has directed this, and this is what we're working on, and thanking everybody for, one, their very hard work, their focus on students, and really, despite the really bad patch that we've gone through the last year, where there's boots on the ground at the institutions, the job has been done extraordinarily well, and I had an opportunity to thank folks for that. Whether I continue with that, I think I need to find out what the feedback is when I've done it. If there's there certainly could be some folks that think that's probably not the best way for the interim chancellor to be interacting with the community. I don't know this. I'm just saying that there is that possibility. There's some that may say this is wonderful, and if people think it's a good way to communicate, then we're going to do that more often. But actually, I rather enjoyed the experience this morning, and I thought, gee, when I come back to Bismarck State, maybe this is something we can do right here. I know I've done videos here before that have been part of a particular event or part of a particular initiative, but I haven't used, I guess it's called a vlog, right? Yes. A video blog. I haven't used a vlog to communicate, and I know that there are CEOs out there in the corporate world that do that. I think it's kind of an exciting way to communicate. But right now I'm going to see what happens relative to feedback on what we did this morning. But clearly communications is important. When you don't have open, clear communications, things just, rumors start taking over, and rumors create mistrust and all those sorts of things that you don't want to have happen. But I'm certainly going to reach out in any way I can. On the other level, my open communications with the presidents is going to be absolutely vital as we move forward. Clearly one of the issues over the last year has been that some of the presidents have felt cut out from the decision-making process. I understand that. I get that. The board president gets it. She has directed me to fix that. And I'm going to be working very closely with the presidents as we move forward in an open, communicative, collaborative environment.
Now, this is a question for both of you, Dr. Skogan and Mr. Clark. What drew you to higher education, and what keeps you in it?
Dave, you want to go first?
Well, working on a campus and being around young students or even older than average students is just a great environment. I've worked in some different business and office environments, and a campus setting is just very, very hard to beat from a work environment perspective, and so at least in my case, I enjoy getting up and going to work. It's every day, and so I've been the beneficiary of working in a great environment. The other thing is, it's all about academics and trying to learn what the latest and greatest is, and improving one's situation in life, and so it's just a great place to work, and I think BSC does a great job on educating our students.
Dr. Skogan?
Jordan, what attracted me to education, I think, is the opportunity to make a difference. And I can remember when I was in high school, I grew up down in Hettinger, and when I was in high school, I just knew that I was going to be a teacher. That's what I always wanted to do. And so eventually, when I got my teaching degree from Dickinson State, and I went and I taught high school in Cooperstown for a while. And then in my Air Force career, I was very, very fortunate to be on the faculty at the United States Air Force Academy. Absolutely loved it for all the same reasons that Dave said. Interacting with students and being around a really vibrant environment. And so when I retired from the Air Force, I was just naturally drawn to stay in higher education after my experience at the Air Force Academy. And so I just feel very, very fortunate every day to be on a campus and to walk around and to know that the institution that we belong to makes a difference in people's lives. And that to me is really important. And so, that's what attracts me to it, and that's what keeps me coming to it. And that's what I'm going to miss, by the way, as I end up, sort of more of in a bureaucratic environment as opposed to the actual educational environment. Because at the Chancellor's level, you're dealing with all, laws and policies and rules and regulations and all that sort of stuff. Whereas here, we're dealing with the fact that we're being interviewed on the radio right now by students who are in classes, and so this is a great experience for you guys, and it's just fun to be part of it.
Dr. Skogen, do you have any advice for Mr. Clark as he takes his new role?
On the serious side, I would say. If we were just sitting down having a cup of coffee, I would say always trust your people. That to me is the most important thing. In all my leadership positions, my number one going in principle as a leader is that you got to trust your people. And so I've worked in too many environments where the leaders haven't trusted their people, and pretty soon people start being demotivated to do a good job because they know that somebody's going to sit there and nitpick over what they're doing. And I think as a leader, you just want to say, this is where we're going, folks, and then go out and walk around campus for a bit, and everything will be done. And we're kind of repeating myself, but Dave's in a wonderful position here at the institution, at this institution, because he's got such a strong team, and you can trust the people. And, so on the serious side, that is it. On a less serious side, I think he needs to start wearing wingtip shoes. And
most definitely.
Yeah. No. Just kidding, Dave.
I've had some wingtips. Okay. They just don't fit anymore.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Clark, what advice do you have for Dr. Skogan?
Well, I wish Larry the best because he's going to be working in a difficult environment with the changes that have occurred within the university system. I think what occurred last legislative session and with the change in leadership, we have to regain the trust of the people and the trust of the legislature and the other policymakers, and Larry's the right person for that, for that job. But it won't be easy, and there'll be a lot of negativity along the way, and that can really drag you down. And so my advice for Larry is to make sure he gets plenty of rest, that he doesn't go out and read all the blogs and all the naysayers, and that, I think if he keeps on course and keeps plugging away and being transparent and being honest, which I know he will, that we will achieve what we need to over the next year or so before that vote, because that vote is a critical factor as to how higher education is going to move into the future.
That's good advice, by the way. Thank you.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping this interview up, but there are a couple questions that I know people are really anxious to hear about, and our listeners can't see that Dr. Skogan is wearing some very flashy two-tone wingtips right now, and Dave is not. And so one of the questions that I have, Mr. Clark, as interim president, what is your signature style item going to be?
Well, that's to be determined.
Will we have a vote,
I cannot honestly answer that question. I do know this. I know that I'm going to need some wardrobe upgrade in this process, and I'm a pretty conservative dresser as well as a conservative fiscal manager, and so I'll probably need some help in that, but no, the two-tone Oxfords are not going to be part of my style. That's not me, and the only shoes I have like that, I've told Larry this, are the ones I wear on the golf course when I'm golfing. And so there will be some to be determined yet in with wardrobe.
Well,
Excuse me, but Dave and I were at an event one time, and Dave said to the people, Larry doesn't golf, but he only wears shoes that look like golf shoes.
well, that's pretty exciting. We can keep an eye out then for how this evolves, because I think that will be something interesting.
This is a pretty stylish tie.
That is a very stylish tie.
It's quite a flashy tie.
That
Well, and on another note, Dr. Skogan, you are known for your style on this campus, and it's marked, and you're always great about complimenting others on their style. And my question for you is, do you feel like you're going to have to take it down a notch? Is mint green dignified enough for a chancellor? I'd like you to talk about that a little bit.
Well, the mint green, everybody thinks that I've won the Masters or something when I wear that. But in fact, one of the reporters recently was telling people that I have a mint green jacket and I have shoes that have mint green soles to match, and they didn't believe him, but it's the truth.
I can witness to that.
No, I'm going to wear the same things I have been wearing here. Obviously, I won't be walking around the campus, but I'm sure that people seeing me walk through the Capitol will notice. So I'm looking forward to it. But I do want to say to Dave, in all seriousness, everybody has to have their own style, and I've got my style, and he's going to have his style, and people will recognize that and respect whatever that is. Wearing the wingtips or the green-soled shoes is not a requirement to be president, I can assure you that.
Good to know. Well, thank you both. I don't know, Derek and Jordan, do you have any other questions?
No. Anything else you two would like to add?
No, I want to thank you for doing this. This is an amazing thing. It's an amazing studio we're in here. I know people can't see it, and you're taping it, so people will be able to see it eventually. But this is just, the things that are going on at Bismarck State are just marvelous, and this is just one piece of that. And I thank you students for enriching our campus by being interested in this sort of thing and then participating in something like this, because this is why we're in higher education, and you guys make it all worthwhile. So thank you for the interview today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening and watching this live interview with Dr. Larry Skogan and Mr. Dave Clark. I'm Jordan Bitz, along with Derek Lee and Marnie Piehl. If you would like to see this interview again, you may do so. Just go to our website, bscmysticmedia.com. Thank you for watching and listening.